Hello YouTubers, I'm here to show some records that I've been listening to lately and that I've bought, and some not very deep or profound thoughts about them, um, but let's start. First of all, I recently started hearing about this who calls himself Father John Misty, or that's George Tillman really. Um, in these days, when all the artists seem to be more and more polished, um, less interesting. They don't have anything, or they have very little to say at least. Then I think it's very nice to that actually see some newer stars. Well, newer, but that seem to actually think a bit before they start writing their songs. In some cases, maybe think a bit too much. But anyway, Father John Misty is one of those, I would say. And these are two albums by him that I've been listening to lately. This is Fear Fun. I think that may be his first one, not really sure. And this one is called Pure Comedy. That's his latest one. He is a multi-instrumentalist, plays lots of different instruments, and very thoughtful lyrics, profound, and sometimes not that easy to understand. And I have to say, I've just started exploring him and his music, and find it quite interesting actually. So it will be interesting to continue doing that. All right, Rhiannon Giddens. This is her second album as a solo artist. I've talked about her first album when it was out. It was 2 years ago, I think, and I thought that it was one of the best. Well, I thought that it was the best album of that year. When the year had finished, I couldn't really think of any record that I had liked more that year. This is the second one. I was a bit late when I wanted to get this because I had missed that she was going to release a new album in February. So when I actually, oh my goodness, she has released a new album. When I started looking for this on vinyl, it had sold out, and it seemed it had sold out everywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere, not in online stores and not in the stores here in Stockholm. So, but later, maybe a month ago, I got this copy, and I guess it's a second press then. But that's good enough for me. It's on vinyl, and I mean, she is magnificent. Such a musicality, such a feeling for the tradition, but without it feeling as if we're listening to a museum piece here. Strong voice, and also, as we've seen, a very good musician. I have to say, I may have liked the first album a bit better. This is still very good, although I may not think that it's as good as the first one, but definitely worth listening to. Okay, now I'm going to show a record that I've been wanting for some time, and that I got for some time ago, maybe a year ago. The Supremes and the Four Tops, The Return of the Magnificent Seven. I liked their cooperation in the early 70s. This is Supremes without the walking vomit bag Diana Ross, but I'm one of those who think that the group Supremes musically improved much when she left, but Motown didn't give a shit about the Supremes after Diana Ross, for obvious reasons. Anyway, enough of that. I think that the cooperation with the male vocal group Four Tops is brilliant, and this is a great album. I bought it I think it maybe was a year ago, and I was very happy that I had found it because I've been looking for it, but it was horribly warped. I mean, my record players are quite good at handling warped record, but this was too warped for it to handle. It just skipped all over the place, so I got a bit pissed off, to be quite honest. But now I found much better copy, and this plays without problem. It's very enjoyable. They made 2 albums together, as far as I know. I think this, yeah, of course it says The Return of the Magnificent Seven, so it's obviously the second one. Yeah, never mind. So I haven't found the first one yet, but I will look for it. I will continue looking for it, because, yeah, it's a very good cooperation. Shame on Motown for not plugging the Supremes more in the 70s. Okay, I'm not too sure if I'm too keen on the sleeve of this next album. It's the Originals, Down to the Love Town. Yeah, pulling panties and so on. It's on the Soul label. It's from 1977, and it's a very good funk record that I well played. I'm not too familiar with the group, the Originals, but I know that they made a couple of albums in the 70s. Great album, good musicians, and some very good compositions here too. Then over to an album that I didn't know that much about, and I didn't know about this group, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. We talk about Fresh, a group called Fresh, and this is a record called Feeling Fresh. It is a group, like a, let's call it a jazz rock group, with some funk elements too. This record is from 1978 on the Motown-based label Prodigal. I didn't know that much about them, but very well played. Lots of great horn playing, great saxophone playing by a man called George England, and great vocals by Bill Pratt, and altogether great ensemble. I'm going to have a look to see if I can find any more of the albums that Feeling Fresh made. Okay, I recently saw the movie Once. Yeah, very late, I know, very late, because that was like big movie hit maybe 8-9 years ago, but sometimes, or quite a lot of times, I am very slow when it comes to finding out about good movies and good music. But anyway, one of the great stars of that movie is of course Glen Hansard, the Irish singer-songwriter that I have known about since I saw The Commitments in the early 90s, although I haven't really thought about him or his music since. But when I found this record, which is his latest solo album, Didn't He Ramble, I got very, of course I got it. I would like to have the Once motion picture soundtrack album on vinyl, and I know this is really annoying because I saw it in the stores for several years. It was there available, and I didn't really think about it. No, so now when I really feel that, oh, I would like to have that, can't find it. It's too late. I have to wait until I find some second-hand copy anywhere, but I can't see why anybody would like to get rid of an album with such good music. Yeah, this is great. I'm a great fan of this folk style, melancholic, sometimes very dramatically narrated songs. I know that he's made a couple of more albums, and I'm looking out for them. Okay, now for those of you, well, most of you, I'd say, are you familiar with a singer-songwriter called Jim Page? No, I'm not talking about Jimmy Page, not talking about Led Zeppelin here. I'm talking about Jim Page. He's a singer-songwriter, American, who was quite active in Sweden in the late 70s and early 80s. And he also made a couple of records here with, first of all, we have this one, In the Act, on the Gothenburg-based label Nacksvin. My good friend, Falkis, 1984, he showed me this one because he has it in his collection. And I said, well, I've never even heard about this guy. And we listened to it, and I was very fond of it. I think I was more fond of it than he was, but he said he liked Duncan and Brady. And yeah, there are many good songs here, and he's a really good guitar picker. This is a live recording from different concerts, both in Sweden and in Seattle, I think. Yeah. Great singer-songwriter with peculiar lyrics, quite a lot of humor in them. He has maybe not the strongest voice. It's a bit of a nasal talking voice, a bit closer to Bob Dylan than Tom Jones, so to speak. It doesn't really matter. It works well, and as I said, he's a magnificent guitar player. So I got this. I've been looking for it for some time. I didn't have to pay that much for it, because even though it's rare, nobody's really heard about it, so nobody's really looking for it either. So that's good for me. Good news for me. And then at the same time, I got a hold of another record with him. This movie is For Real from 1982. And this is recorded together with Swedish musicians, among others Björn Afzelius from the Hoola Bandoola band, and Bernt Andersson, who also played later in the 1990s with the reformed Hoola Bandoola band. And like the title track here is a bit commenting about Ronald Reagan and the fact that they now have that man as a president, which I guess he wasn't too keen on that fact, and I can understand that. We can make modern comparisons today. Yeah. Anyway, if you manage to find these albums, although they must be incredibly rare outside Sweden, in Sweden they are rare, because I don't think they sold that much, because I've never really heard about him until a couple of years ago, and that's through my friend. But happy I got these now. Okay, I have two more records to show, two Swedish records. First, a record. It's a bit of compilation record. It's one of these maybe not really my thing, but I think of my good old friend Roger, who passed away some years ago, because this was really one of his favorite vocal groups. The Hoorays, the vocal group, Swedish-American vocal group and dance group, Mormons, who won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1984 with Diggiloo Diggiley, and they won a Polish contest with Summer Party the year after that, like a Polish Eurovision Song Contest. I knew the name of it some minutes ago, but now it just went from my mind. But never mind. This is like a compilation, both their most famous songs and some, maybe 50% of the material is previously unreleased. This is from 1986. They were already on the way down in popularity. They were probably the most popular artist in Sweden in 1984, and a bit maybe 1985 as well. But in 1986 it was going downwards, and they lost the record deal with the Swedish Marianne, who well, who was the record company behind most of the big Schlager and easy listening pop music of the 1980s. And then later they went to another label, I think a Danish label, and made a couple of records more, but then all faded out. And today only one of the members are still active in the music business. Right. And then we have a Swedish record here from 1971, or maybe more, 1972, on the label Marilla, that was owned by a man called Hans Edler, who's today mostly known for the fact that he's been doing these 60s revival shows for the last 30 years or so. It's called The bästa med artisterna från TV:s Titta in. The best with the artist from the TV show Titta in, Look in. And we have the nice variation here of blues, Schlager, singer-songwriter, and just pure silliness. I think the most famous artists on this record are, and they're not that famous either, a blues duo called Pete and Papa, who later would make a solo album in the mid-70s sometime. Otherwise, we have like a country group called Johnny John and Jr. And we have a duo, Christina and Hans Kask, singing Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. But the reason why I wanted this record is because it contains, in my view, one of the worst songs and worst recordings ever made. And it's a group, also because there was a picture of the group on the back sleeve, so I was a bit curious. And from the picture it looks like a group, 2 men and two young men and 3 young girls, or young women, and they were called Los Gallos, and they made a version of the song Du är söt Anita. I think that's some sort of South American song. I don't know the original title. Anyway, the fact is, it's like, let's sing, oh you're so cute Anita, I wish you were mine, and so on. But the fun thing is that it's sung by these girls, and it's sung with no emotion at all. It's like as if they were in coma. They say, Du är söt Anita, da 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 da. And I remember I heard this recording maybe 20 years ago, and I thought, my goodness, is it even possible to make a recording and to sing with such little, you don't really believe what you're singing. You have no feeling what you're singing. You sing about all these passion and emotion, what you sing it totally without any emotion in your voice at all, as if robots were singing. And yeah, probably I'm a bit mean now, but I've been trying to find out a bit about these Los Gallos, but I can't find anything about them. I'm glad I found this really wacky Sunk It record. We have Sankodelia when we talk about music that, how would you say, horribly strange music. So that's it for now. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you follow me all through this video up until now, well done. And I wish you well, some good listening, and thanks for watching.